Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to your Daily 5 for December 14, 2023. This is my last show of the year, so thank you very much for having made this a great and successful year for my website and for StockCharts.com. I'm Joe Duarte from Joe Duarte and MoneyOptions.com, author of the #1 best-selling options book, Options Trading for Dummies, the Everything Investing in Your 20s and 30s book. If you like what you see here, please consider a free 2-week trial to my website, joeduarte.moneyoptions.com. Also, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the StockCharts.com channel on YouTube. Let's see if we can get that subscriber number above 100,000 before the end of 2023. Well, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about buying stocks where volume and momentum meet. So this is a follow-up to a video I did a couple of weeks ago in which I asked the question, what if Warren Buffett was a chart guy? So this is part 2. So our goals in this one are, number 1, defining value and momentum investing. Number 2, defining value and momentum price charts. And number 3, trading that perfect value price chart as it transitions into a momentum chart. So step 1A, what's value investing? Well, it's a practice of investing in areas of the stock market which offer the potential for growth before the market recognizes the opportunity. So this is all about unrecognized growth potential. And of course, it traditionally involves the use of PE ratios and other fundamental approaches such as book value and indicators such as that. But today's focus is going to be on technical and contrarian criteria, which will help us to find value in those underperforming companies with great products that are about to transition. And so obviously we want to look for that negative press, for those troubled businesses, and for poor management and execution. Step 1B, you want to find that momentum investing. Of course, it's the practice of investing in areas of the stock market which offer the potential for growth as the market recognizes the opportunity. So momentum investing is more about growth, which now means more growth in the future. And of course, that traditionally involves capitalizing on positive buzz, earnings, revenue momentum, and other fundamental approaches. But our focus is on technical and contrarian criteria, which are going to help us to find value in companies on the verge of breakouts. So instead of negative press, now we want to focus on companies that have great products, but are having fading negative press, the business is turning around, and of course, management is improving the execution. As always, trade with the trend. And of course, now that the Federal Reserve is telling us that they're pretty much done raising interest rates and that we might have lower interest rates in the future, the market is rallying. That's a great time for that transition between value and momentum stocks. And of course, we want to look at the big picture here, which is that the advanced decline line right here is above its 200-day moving average, its 50-day moving average, and moving to new highs. We want to make sure it gets above this high before we get completely bullish. But certainly, this is a great start right now. Of course, as things have been bullish for a little while since the October-November bottom, we have the RSI that's a little bit overbought, so we want to be a little bit choosy in what we do. But guess what? The bears are not at all busy. The CBOE volatility index is still at its lows. That means no crazy put buying. Every time, in fact, that short sellers decide to rear their ugly heads, they're getting wiped out. So the trend at this point is excellent based on market breadth. And of course, the S&P 500 is showing us a very similar picture, making new highs, especially after the Fed has just turned a little bit more dovish. And of course, the key is accumulation distribution is rising. That means the short sellers are bailing out. Balanced volume is rising. That means buyers are coming in. And of course, we are a little bit overbought, but it's early in that. So I think this market still has a little bit left before some kind of meaningful pause. And obviously, volume by price. Look at this big cluster over here of volume by price bars. Market's taking that out. That means that resistance is now pretty much gone. So again, I like to review these things because they're important, and you want to be able to have a really good look at the sectors of the market that are strong and the ones that are not so strong. And I prefer to do that through the big picture, my CandleGlance my CandleGlance view on StockCharts.com. When I look at the 3010 S&P Select sector EDFs, I have lots of them, and you can get this set up yourself. It's a preset, and you can actually edit and add your own sectors to it. So step 2, let's define that transitional value to momentum on price charts. And usually what happens is you have a well-known company, the products that they have are excellent, and the public can't do without them, but Wall Street is ignoring. And of course, that's value. The twist is that the base formation, that choppy trading pattern, is reaching a point where things are starting to get bullish. The stock is gaining a little bit of traction. You see the short covering, you see the buyers coming in, you see that that breakout is getting near or actually starting, and then you get into that momentum run. So let's review the perfect chart. Again, I recommend that you go back a couple of videos. I did a video which shows the perfect price chart setup. Real quick, base formation, you have a panic bottom, short covering, the buyers come in, you have a breakout, and then you have a momentum run. This is all going to be tied together as we go along here. So let's look at a value sector, which is currently in the early stages of setting up for a transition into momentum. And of course, as utilities, they're out of favor. Nobody thinks utilities are sexy. But of course, we know that with everyone wanting to get an electric car and with a move toward renewable energy, the electric companies are going to be crucial over the next several years, because where's the power going to come from? So what we do is we focus on what's going on. The market's starting to recognize it. They're still a little bit out of favor, but guess what? You see that panic bottom here. You see the short sellers getting out. And you see the buyers are a little bit reluctant here, but they're starting to come in. Still not quite there. That 200-day moving average, got that volume by price resistance here. But this is a great area to watch. And so if you're looking for something that in the future might make that transition, you want to focus on utilities. Of course, I want to look at a classic blowout transition value to momentum chart. And we go back to early 2023, when we had the uranium stocks in the Global X Uranium ETF, in which I own shares. And you can see the classic value here, choppy trading pattern, lots of resistance over VBP. But guess what? Accumulation distribution starting to creep up here as the chart improves. And again, unbalanced volume. Starting to creep up. Again, short sellers getting out, buyers coming in. Guess what? We have this area here, the final setup, the Bollinger Bands start getting tight, volatility decreases, boom, you have the beginning of a momentum run. So remember, this is an excellent go-to chart when you're trying to review the concept that I'm going to be expanding on here in a second. So step 3. Trading that perfect value chart. So you want to look at that point where the stock is about to break out above the top of the base. You also want to make sure that support holds. And of course, you look for that positive money flows, and I'll call it Duarte's triad, which should actually be Duarte's quartet. Bollinger Band squeezing, accumulation distribution setting up and starting to rise, unbalanced volume starting to rise. And you want to make sure you take out that volume by price resistance. And of course, then you pull the trigger. So let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So here's how we trade the perfect transition. And here's a stock that was, a dog. It's an insurance company, not sexy at all. Who cares about insurance? Down here, we're getting all kinds of bad news. The insurance companies are pulling out of the state of California, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants them. Interest rates are going to rise forever. It's bad for the insurance company, so on and so forth. Here we go. Panic bottom. Heavy short selling, even heavier short selling, failure to rally, all kinds of problems right here on balanced volume, lots of resistance. And again, here we go, starting to create a little value, but the buyers are not convinced yet. So we have another failure, but guess what? Right around here, that Bollinger Band starts getting tighter. And right here it gets even tighter. Look at that big arrow. And of course, we got that pop above the 200-day moving average, the pop above the big volume by price bar cluster, and boom, accumulation distribution as the short sellers bail out, unbalanced volume as the buyers start coming in, and here we go with the momentum run as the stock is now riding along the crest of the Bollinger Band. And that's a really important sign to look for when you have a momentum stock, that it rides along the upper Bollinger Band. So I want to look well into the future now. We saw that utilities are on the verge or on the cusp of maybe making the transition. Here's a group that is offering a great deal of value, but that the market still has not realized the potential. This is the VanEck Rare Earth Strategic Metals ETF. And think about this. Rare earth minerals are crucial for semiconductor productions. The world is moving towards AI fueled data centers. That means servers, that means rare earth minerals for those chips. Electric vehicles, guess what? They need rare earth minerals, so on and so forth. Nobody wants them. I'm thinking if someone has got some patience, this is one I'm putting way up on my buy list. And just keep an eye on things. It's got a long way to go. There's no doubt about it. But this is one that we want to focus on over the next 12 months, because I think 2024 may be that year when the rare earth minerals finally make their move. So let's put it all together. You always want to trade with the market trend. You want to find those out of favor stocks that are forming basis, and you look for that value. The key is companies that make products that everyone needs. They have to have some negative press, troubled businesses, and poor management and execution. That's what creates the value, because people don't want to get into stuff that's not glitzy and sexy. They don't want to think about the future. Of course, you analyze those money flows, which of course are ADI, short sellers getting out, unbalanced volume as buyers come in, volume by price. That's the key. When you break out about that big VBP cluster, that means that the resistance is gone. And of course, you want to pinpoint those transitional price patterns, which is putting all this together. You pull a trigger and you ride the momentum bands, which are, the upper Bollinger Band. Of course, you want to let the market define support. When you sell and support is broken, and that depends on what you want to do. 10-day moving average, 20-day moving average, 50-day moving average, volume by price. You can pick your support level. Well, that's all I have for today. But since this is a holiday edition, I have a list of wonderful people that really need thanking, because this has been a great year for Joe Duarte and the MoneyOptions.com, and I couldn't have done it without their help. Chip Anderson, of course, he is the boss at StockCharts.com. Thank you, Chip. Dave Keller, wonderful man, without whom I would not be able to be on StockCharts.com. Thank you very much, Dave. The entire StockCharts.com team, because they make everything possible, especially Jayanti and Eric on the editorial team, who make sure that you get my articles on time. And Rachel Ackley, our producer, who makes this show go. Thank you, Rachel. Have a great Christmas. Couldn't go without thanking my literary agent, Grace Friedson, and Frank and Jean Kohler, who run Joe Duarte and the MoneyOptions.com. Special thanks to subscribers, book buyers, Buy Me a Coffee members, and viewers of all my videos. A superb holiday season and a great new year to all. I'm Joe Duarte from Joe Duarte and the MoneyOptions.com. Author of the #1 bestseller, Options Trading for Dummies, and the Everything Investing in Your 20s and 30s. Remember that free 2-week trial of my website if you like it here. Hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Let's get 100,000 before the end of the year for StockCharts.com. Remember, if you like what you see here, but you want to kind of ease into things, check out my Buy Me a Coffee page. There's plenty of free stuff there that you can get at. And if you want to buy me a coffee, I'll take it. Thank you very much. As always, remember, trading is uncertain, and be prepared.